Hello everyone, and welcome to the Dice Commando YouTube channel. I'm Andrew, with you here as always. This is Go Again, a fabulous video cast covering the trading card game Flesh and Blood. This video and others like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. Please show your support with a like and subscribe, and be sure to hit the bell notification icon so you don't miss any new videos. If you want to get involved with the channel, consider becoming a channel member. There are many benefits to channel membership, including access to our Discord, exclusive deck tech and strategy videos, and the opportunity to help create channel content. I want to sincerely thank all our channel members, as I truly couldn't do this without your support. You guys rock. Go Commando. Hello Flesh and Blood folks, welcome back to Dice Commando and Go Again, a fabulous cast today. I'm joined by Simon. How's it going, my friend?
I'm very well, Andrew. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Simon, obviously you guys can hear, is from the UK, so it took us a while to coordinate being able to do this. So it's morning for me, late afternoon for him. But today we were talking with Simon because he took down a big road to nationals, the biggest road to nationals in the UK. So today we're chatting with him about his stab kick plan for getting that done. Hey folks, thanks for tuning back in, and Simon, thanks for joining. So just a quick introduction to Simon. Simon's one of the members of the Dice Commando team. He also has his own little side gig. Tell us real quick about your side gig.
Well, thanks for the plug. So I'm part of the Push the Point podcast crew, and we run about twice monthly podcasts from over here in the UK, quite community-based. Look at the game, Flesh and Blood, and we're looking at expanding some new content bits. So keep your eyes peeled on our YouTube and Spotify.
Will do. All right. So Simon, how do you tell us a bit about yourself? How did you get into Fab? What's that story?
Yeah. Well, you feature in that story actually, Andrew. So a friend of mine, a work colleague, in fact, James, maybe known as Beram on the Discord, came to me after we'd been playing some Destiny together and said, look, I found this new TCG. Let's give it a go. I've ordered some starter decks, and he showed me some videos from Dice Commando, some of your early Go Again stuff. And ever since we played the first couple of games here at home, we've just been absolutely hooked. We've been scrounging for cards and boxes, and I've been trying to make a go at being semi-competitive in the game, and it seems to be going all right so far.
Nice. Yeah, awesome. And then you ended up with the Push the Point crew, and it's all the story she wrote from there. So
it just keeps growing, yeah.
So you were able to take down a Road to Nationals. Congratulations on that. And this was in Leeds, UK, right?
Yeah, just outside of Leeds. A game shop called Living Realms, who are really making a name for themselves in the UK as a go-to for running Flesh and Blood events. It was a 63-person event, the biggest one we've had in the UK, and it was. Do you know what? Just the atmosphere. I'm sure you've had similar events where you've been, and it's just everyone's enjoying themselves. Everyone's chatting. The community atmosphere seems to be so friendly, and it was a joy to be a part of.
All right. Well, so without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and put up your deck list. So we don't necessarily need to run down blow by blow what's in there, but kind of talk us through. I think primarily why you chose this hero. And then kind of some of your sexy tech if you want to talk about it.
Yeah, so I've been playing Katsu since fairly early on. Mask of Momentum was one of the first unlimited legendaries I pulled, so that sort of pushed me down into that route. And do you know what? It's just such a fun deck to play, in my opinion. It's varied from sort of mid range to this is definitely a more aggro take on the deck, and as you can probably see from the deck, it's fairly streamlined. There's a lot of combo cards in there. The full Lord of Wind line is such good value, and leg tap again. Leg tap is slightly cheaper than the Lord of Wind line, but doesn't come with the same on hit triggers. I think one of my favorite aspects of playing Katsu is you make your opponent have decisions on what to block and when to block. And I think that's a big part of the game of Flesh and Blood is choosing to block correctly. And sometimes with Katsu, there just isn't a correct answer. So this one particularly is more aggressive. I've streamlined it and taken out some of the chaff, but some of the tech in there, the snatch, the torrent of tempo, especially for the Chane matchup, giving go again, it makes them block, and if they don't block, who knows what's coming next. The Art of Wars can be make or break. Sometimes they break your hand, you can't block with them, but sometimes they allow you to search that extra combo piece or maybe draw off the top and give you that +1 to get over some of these 2-card blocks that you come up against. So yeah, I've really enjoyed playing it. I think having that aggressive edge to it really does worry some people. It's been an evolution of a deck. I played it in 3 different Road to Nationals, and I came second in my second attempt. Lost to a Dorinthea in the final, and I went away and swiftly put in some extra defense reactions just for that matchup, and that definitely helped me because I played another Dorinthea in the final of the Living Realms event, and I came out victorious. So it's really nice when you have those moments of I'm going to introduce this, and then it works the next time you get to use it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a good lead-in. I think I wanted to ask you specifically. There's 73 cards in the deck, so obviously you're set up for sideboarding, like one would expect. So, what are your sideboard pieces here that you're doing in your certain matchups?
Yeah, so we've mentioned the defense reacts, and they come out in so definitely 2 unmovable and 3 sink belows come out in every matchup apart from Bravo and Dorinthea. The Torrent of Tempos again are a sideboard card. They go in for the Chane matchup, but not really much else. And then there's a mix, so a combination of Command and Conquer. The Nourishing is only in there for the Prism matchup. The Command and Conquers I usually run 1, but maybe 2 in some other matchups, and then all 3 against Prism again because of the 6 power attacks. And then again, open the center and the head jab line. It's not always useful. Open the center is a 2-cost card. You don't have a huge spending power in this deck. Running 14 blues for most of the matchups. So if you're going to play it, and I play it against Warrior to try and maximize my chance of on-hit effects and mask triggers, maybe on the 3rd attack, if you've managed to go with a Kodachi, a head jab, and they're not blocking, you go and find the open the center for a definite dominated 3rd hit, which gives you your mask trigger. But really, yeah, the sideboard cards are a couple of Art of Wars, a couple of CNCs, the Torrent of Tempo, the defense reacts. And the main matchups we're talking about have been Chane, Bravo, Prism, and either Dorinthea or Boltyn. We hadn't seen a lot of those, but the ones that you do have to play tend to be in the top 8, so they need to be taken seriously.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, yeah. So I don't have as much reps or as many reps with Katsu, so I'm still trying to wrap my head around the whole thing. I do see one thing I wanted to ask. There's one hurricane technique. How did you end up on? That's an odd number. How did you end up on that?
So again, hurricane technique is a card that stays in for most aggressive matchups, and it can be really useful. As I said, the leg tap line doesn't necessarily have the same on-hit triggers that the Lord of Wind does with Whirlwind Gustwave and McGinty. But if you can get a leg tap and a Rising Knee Thrust off, that gives you the chance to go and search for this hurricane technique, which does, with combo, does 5 damage. And if it hits, it comes back into your hand. So you can then either hit again with it for 4 without the combo, or you can put it back into Arsenal and try again next turn. It only needs to be 1 off because you're tutoring it most of the time with Katsu's effect. So
I see.
It's a yellow card. It doesn't give me the same pitch ability as a blue. It doesn't pitch for 0, so it doesn't activate my Kodachis, but it's in there for me to go and tutor in the right situation.
Okay, that makes sense, right? Okay, great. Well, I think you hit a pretty good point there talking about really the matchups. And that's something you and I
Mm.
were talking about kind of in the precast is
Hmm.
there was an article out by, you said it was Tower Number 9, right?
Yeah.
And I had seen it as well. I just couldn't remember who it was. So I will make sure to put that up as well and give credit where credit's due. But it was a well written article that was essentially looking at the European meta. And let's be very clear here: the European and UK metas are
Mm.
technically different things, right? And basically,
Mm.
in that, it was talking about the over present or not overweightness of, but the higher percentage of Boltyn in the European meta versus the rest of the world, basically. So, being in the UK meta and actually knowing
Yeah.
it firsthand, how do you think that fits in with how does the European meta, the UK meta, the US meta? How do you think that all kind of flushes out?
It's an interesting discussion, and I think it's been since the online play has sort of dissolved and things have opened up a bit. I think everyone's getting their sort of distinct metas a bit more now than it was maybe 6 months ago with the skirmish season. Um, but you're right, the European and the UK metas are distinct entities at the moment because again, we don't quite have the travel between the EU and Brexit has changed our travel habits and COVID has changed our travel habits. So we haven't really been mingling as much as maybe we would have done before. Um, the UK meta has been fairly chain heavy, as many places have, with actually quite a strong contingent of Katsu and lesser contingent of Dorinthea, but a very competitive contingent because Sharif Shaban, who was the first player in the UK to 1,000 XP, plays Dorinthea and chose to play Dorinthea for the Road to Nationals season, and he won three out of the 7 events. So he plays the deck very well. It shows you that having reps on a deck can really make it competitive. And he's had a great success with that. And again, sorry for the plug, but there is an episode of Push the Point just come out with a deck tech with Sharif Shaban, and it's well worth checking out if you are interested in playing Dorinthea. Now, on the European mainland, they seem to be playing a lot more Boltyn, and especially Boltyn Sabers, which is a one-turn kill style combo deck. And my feeling, having played against the deck, is that it, as with many one-turn kill decks, it either has great success or it falls flat on its face. And maybe the European meta, being as young as it is, hasn't had a chance to play against it and really hasn't figured out how to play against it.
Hmm.
Maybe they won't have to now with the Tales of Aria meta coming in. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah, interesting. So I do find that actually, thank you for speaking specifically to the Dorinthea thing. I was going to ask about that on
Well,
why she's so popular over there, because she doesn't seem to have. I mean, obviously she's my girl, as you know, but
mm,
she doesn't seem to have as much love over here. But it's all Chane, or it was anyway. It was all Chane all day, right? So
especially seeing the turnout of Chane at the calling, and then the representation of Chane in the top 8 of the calling was a real shock because we've not had. I don't think we've had a 50% top 8 of Chane. Well, maybe we have, but it's a big number, especially for a big event, and a 50% representation of a top 64 is huge.
hmm
It really shows how powerful that deck was, even for people that maybe haven't had enough reps on the deck. And I I feel like the banning of Seeds of Agony may have been an overreaction in its entirety, but actually it promotes that creativity and that deck building nuance that you have to now go and search for the cards that have a slightly different power and a deck that works in a slightly different way. And I think that's going to be really good for the game.
hmm Yeah. It's I mean, plus with everything dropping, we'll see where everything and by everything dropping, I mean Tales of Aria.
Yeah,
So we'll
Tales of
we'll
Aria.
we'll see where it ends up. So also, I know that because James, right? James is a Prism
Mm,
guy primarily.
yes, yeah,
You have a lot of reps versus Prism.
yeah.
So talk to me a bit about the Katsu Prism matchup, because at least the way that it's played over here, a lot of times we
Mm,
call the auras like the Kodachis, right? Kodachi paying the
yeah,
auras, right? Or
yeah. No, you're absolutely right, and I'm fortunate to have a testing partner in James who has gone heavy into Prism, and we have some incredible matchups. The Living Realms event, we actually played twice. I fortunately came out on top in both the Swiss and the top 8 match. But the matchup itself, I think if you're trying to run Prism as an aura deck against Katsu, you're gonna struggle because Katsu generally has go again and he can offer to pass to the end of turn and leave a Kodachi spare so that if you go on and play your Genesis as a Prism player at the end of turn, that priority then passes back to Katsu and he can get rid of it before it's even taken effect. So trying to play the big auras against Katsu doesn't necessarily work. And I think it's generally James and I have seen that it generally works better if you go full aggro Herald into Katsu and just race. If Katsu gets a big Lord of Wind combo and makes you block, then things turn in Katsu's favor. And if the Prism gets the Herald of Erudition out for 5 or 7 and can't be blocked, and a Tome of Divinity turn, then it tends to swing in the Prism player's favor. So it can be a bit of a dicey matchup, and it does feel like many matchups in the Monarch meta that it is just a race to the finish, which has its pros and cons.
Sure. And then how about the Arclight Sentinel play? Where do you, as a Katsu player, where do you get boned, for a lack of a better term? Like where's the worst place for them to play that? Or if you're the Prism player, where's the right place to play that against Katsu?
Again, it's a big aura. It costs 6. It's at least a 2-card pitch plus the aura itself from either arsenal or hand. I feel like if, as the Prism player, you need a bit of respite and you need a turn off to try and catch your breath and reset, then that's a good time to play it. But it would probably be after the first Kodachi if you're gonna get it. If you see the Katsu's got a 4-card hand and an arsenal and they pitch to play a Kodachi, maybe that's the time to play the Arclight Sentinel. However, it does mean that they've then got that same 4-card hand for the next turn. So maybe it's better to wait until you've seen the Surging Strike or you've seen the leg tap come out, and then you can get rid of that 1 card. Maybe they don't have the pieces they need for the combo on the next turn. So actually it's probably better to wait for the first combo piece to come out before you play that.
Yeah, that's more what I was thinking, was waiting to somehow disrupt your big Lord of Wind
combo
turn. But yeah, but I definitely don't have the reps with that. I have not played very much Prism in this meta at all.
I think the big thing is the fact that it's a 6-cost card, right? So it's pitching at least 2, if not 3 cards. It wastes your next turn as well as the Katsu player's turn. So there's not necessarily, apart from the fact that if you had it in your hand, it doesn't block. There's not necessarily a benefit to doing it apart from delaying the inevitable.
Sure. Yeah, just try to. I don't know. I mean, I know as Dorinthea, I hate to see that pop your courage and boom, and that's gas, right? It's all over. So, okay, cool. So I think one last question. We had kind of spoken to the differences in meta between US and UK, and the cards are the cards, and they're still as powerful. So, do you think it's more of a culture difference, just in how the people in UK prefer to play versus US, where the data's there, right? We saw that in the US people wanted to go for the I don't know, big, easy, whatever you want to. They wanted to go for Chane. Are the UK players just naturally, do they want to not do that? Is that how they? Did you understand what I'm asking? I'm not being very clear.
I do.
But
no, I hadn't. The quizzical look on my face is because I hadn't really thought about it in that way, and I don't come from a particularly strong trading card game background, so I don't know if that's something that was seen in other games like Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, Destiny, whatever you want. I think right now, because Flesh and Blood is still such a young game, there are a contingent of UK players that have been in for about a year or 9 months to a year now, and they all picked up heroes in the Welcome to Wrathe and Arcane Rising meta, and they have had the reps with those heroes. So I think the UK meta is based heavily on the people that had those reps already good to go before the road to national season kicked in. We've seen a high representation of Chane as well, because again, a lot of the cards you didn't need from other sets, and Prism is the same, so you only
Hmm.
really needed. So the newer players were coming in on these decks. I think the US has a bigger contingent of early players, but than the UK. Obviously, it's a bigger country, but then so many people like LSS have been really hitting hard the US to try and promote the game since Monarch, and I think just the pure volume of new players in the US sees the chain demographic go through the roof and the Prism demographic go through the roof, because again you only need the cards really from Monarch, and they haven't had to search around for unlimited or first edition cards from previous sets as much. um, I just think we're on a slightly smaller proportion, and we had maybe a more influential early group that have really stuck around and made an impact, rather than the US, which has been completely outnumbered by chains and prisms.
Mm. I think that's a yeah, that's really solid. I mean, it's just experience at that point. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. I was just curious if because there's I always get them wrong, but there's the player archetypes. There's like the Johnny, the Timmy, and the
Yeah,
Spike, right? And I was just curious if like the
we
UK skews more towards whichever one of
yeah
those
I
doesn't like to win with the big thing. You know what I mean? So.
yeah no, I know what you mean, and I think there are definitely UK players out there who fit that sort of. They don't want to go mainstream.
Hmm.
There are people like myself who are stubborn and have just got the reps on Katsu, and I think that's going to give me my best chance. But no, I think maybe just because we're a smaller market, maybe the group that got in early has a bit more sway so far, and I think maybe in the future that may change. I'm not looking forward to it, but I'll try and keep going. But there
Yeah.
may be a time when I'm not quite as competitive.
Yeah. No. I mean that's fair, and I appreciate the fact that Dorinthea is doing well in your area.
You
Um,
can thank Sharif. He's got, well, I'm going to show this off because I don't get much chance to show it off, but he's got three of these. I've only got the
wow.
one.
That is
It
cool.
is beautiful, and the foiling on it is incredible. But it's something I can look at and put in my deck, and a subtle flex maybe as I go into the nationals of that.
Cool. So, yeah. Well, Tales of Aria dropped this weekend. I mean, at least when we're interviewing this, doing this interview.
Yeah.
What are you looking forward to? What pony you're gonna pick? At least
Yeah,
early.
so I'm now my initial pick was going to be Lexi with lightning and a lot of lightning. Go again, through 2 to 3 arrows a turn and some generic attacks in there. And that is fun. I like the aggroness of that deck. However, during pre-release, I had a lot of fun playing Oldham, and some of the big attacks in there and getting some thumps and glacial footsteps out were really fun. So I think Lightning Lexi is going to be my first pick, but it wouldn't take much to push me down an Oldham route. And then depending on the cards I open in the next few days, maybe I'll do one or the other.
Yeah, Eldum. I have to say I've been pleasantly surprised being
Mm.
wrong on Oldham in that I thought he's mostly going to be hammer control, and what we've seen at least in my local meta, which is granted like 16 dudes, right? But it's a bunch of throw it in your face dominate so far.
Mm.
So it's I don't know. This is going to be a very interesting set to see where it goes. I think it was well
It's
designed.
definitely. I was going to say it's definitely well designed for draft. I've really been enjoying having some time to play limited with local people here, and pleasantly surprised that the Arcane hasn't been the be all and end all and
Hmm.
hasn't been as powerful as I thought it might be. Because the unblockable damage, as you've said before, from Dominate versus Arcane, is just how you manage to throw it at people. So I've been really impressed with the balance in the set so far from a limited perspective.
Yep, we will see. We will see how it fits in. That Rosetta Thorn is no joke, right? That is no
Well,
joke. So,
brutal, yeah.
all right, cool. Well, I think that's about it. Again, thank you very much for. It took us a while to coordinate it, so I appreciate that. It's not easy with the time difference. So, thanks for making the time. Did you
You're
have
more than
anything?
welcome. It's been
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say you're more than welcome. It's been an absolute pleasure to have a chat with you. And yeah, if anyone from the DC team or anyone wants to have message me about the deck, then I'm more than happy to answer questions. I got to credit um, Kieran from New Zealand, who was an influence in helping build the deck. And yeah, just get the reps in the deck you enjoy, and you can have success along the way. It's been fun so far.
Nice. Yeah, I think that's solid advice. I'm still playing Thea, right? So
Absolutely, and you enjoy it, and if you enjoy it, it makes you want to just pile in more.
fair enough. So do you have anything else? Obviously, we already talked about Push the Point, but why don't you remind people again where they can come find you? Because you guys, I listen to it. It's good stuff. So
Well, thank you. Yeah, you can find us on YouTube and Spotify. Push the Point podcast. We've got some new videos coming out in the next couple of days, so keep your eyes peeled. And yeah, thanks again, Andrew, for having me on and really making the time to get this done.
no, well, congratulations on the big win. I'm sure there's many more coming. Although hopefully next time you don't have to bump out James in the top 8, right? So little shot at James there. That's okay. Good fun. Good fun. No,
You'll get me next time.
This was awesome. Thank you very much. And say it with me. Go Commando.
Go Commando.